Crash on the forbidden blue. World smoke covered the broken sky as Captain Ryan crawled out of the wreckage. His ship, the Horizon Star, was split in half, metal burning and sparking in all directions. His body ached, and his head spun, but he was alive. He didn't know how or why, but he was breathing. He looked up. The sky was dark blue, almost purple. Strange clouds moved like slow rivers above him. The air smelled different, sweet, but heavy. Around him was a thick forest, trees with glowing blue leaves, flowers that hummed like bees and vines that moved gently, even though there was no wind. Ryan tried to use his wrist communicator. "This is Captain Ryan of Earth Vessel Horizon. Star. Emergency crash landing. Repeat. Emergency crash on unknown planet. Coordinates." But the signal was dead. No response. No connection. Just silence. He stood up slowly, his boots sinking into the soft, glowing moss. Everything felt unreal, like a dream. But it wasn't. The pain in his leg reminded him this was real. He walked for hours, pushing through the strange jungle. He heard distant sounds, birds, or something like them. But what caught his attention was something else. Voices. Not just any voices. Female voices. Laughing, whispering, singing. He followed the sound until he reached a clearing. There, beyond the trees, stood tall structures made of stone and glass, shining in the sunlight. A village, a city, people, maybe help. But as he stepped forward, something strange happened. A group of tall women appeared at the edge of the trees. They were beautiful, their skin shades of blue, green, and silver. Some had feathers in their hair, others wore armor made of crystal and bone. They moved like warriors, proud and fearless. One of them gasped when she saw him. Another dropped the fruit she was holding. "It's a man." One whispered. "No, it can't be," said another. "Men don't exist, not anymore." Ryan froze. His heart pounded in his chest. What were they talking about? The tallest woman stepped forward. Her eyes were golden, her face strong and serious. She studied him, like he was some rare animal. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Captain Ryan, from Earth. I crashed here. I don't mean any harm. I'm just looking for help," he said. The women stared at him in silence. Then suddenly they all started talking at once. "Where did he come from? He looks real. Touch him, see if he's real." They rushed toward him. One touched his hair. Another poked his chest. One even sniffed his skin. Ryan backed away, confused and nervous. "Hey, personal space, please," he said. But they didn't stop. They were too shocked, too curious. The golden-eyed woman raised her hand, and the others stopped. She looked at Ryan with something between wonder and fear. "This planet has not seen a male in over 3 centuries, she said slowly. "We believed your kind had vanished from the stars. You are a miracle." Ryan blinked. "Wait, are you saying there are no men here at all?" She nodded. "Not one." Suddenly, Ryan felt something deep in his gut. He was the only man on an entire planet of women, and from the way they looked at him, that meant something dangerous, something he didn't understand yet. The women brought him to the village. As he walked through the streets, hundreds of female eyes followed him. Some filled with wonder, some with desire, some with hunger. It was like he wasn't a person, just an object they all wanted to touch, claim, or control. He was given water, food, and a bed inside a stone room. But he wasn't alone. 2 women stood guard outside, watching. His every move. He wasn't a guest. He was a prize. At night, he sat by the window and looked up at the twin moons. His heart was heavy. He thought he'd found safety, but now he felt trapped again. Not by fire or cold or danger, but by attention. Too much of it. A voice came from the door, soft, curious. "Are you afraid of us?" It was a young woman, not a guard, just someone passing by. Her eyes were kind but curious. Ryan didn't answer right away. "I don't know," he finally said. "I crashed here. I needed help. I didn't expect to become whatever this is. She smiled gently. You're something rare. And rare things are either worshipped or hunted. Her words stayed in his mind long after she left. As the night grew deeper, Ryan couldn't sleep. He had survived a crash. But now he had landed in a place far stranger than he could have imagined. A place with no men. A place where women ruled. A place where he was no longer just a person. He was something else. He just didn't know what. But he would soon find out, and it wouldn't be easy. The women have needs. And Ryan woke to the sound of drums. Not loud war drums, but soft, steady beats, like a heartbeat echoing through stone walls. He sat up slowly, still in the same room where they placed him last night. The air smelled sweet, like fruit and burning herbs. Outside the window, he saw women gathering in the square. Dozens of them, maybe more. They were waiting. For him. A knock came at the stone door. 2 guards stepped in, then moved aside for another woman. Taller, dressed in gold. Armor, her eyes sharp like knives. She didn't smile. You must come with me, she said simply. Where? Ryan asked. To the claiming circle, she answered. Ryan had no idea what that meant, but he followed. He didn't have much choice. Outside, the women stared again. Some in awe, others with strange hunger in their eyes. He felt like an animal in a zoo. No one spoke to him. Only whispers behind hands. They brought him to the center of the village where a wide platform of glowing stone stood under the sky. On each side, different groups of women stood. Warriors, healers, scholars, mothers. They were all watching. Him like he was a prize. Then an old woman stepped forward. Her robes were long, her skin wrinkled like tree bark. She held a staff with a white crystal on top. This is the first claiming in 3 centuries, she spoke. The male has come from the stars. The law of Althera remains. Any unclaimed male belongs to the public until properly marked. Ryan's eyes widened. Wait, what? The crowd murmured. The elder looked at him. Until a female places her claim upon you, you are free to all. This is how it has always been. This is survival. Ryan took a step back. I'm not an object. I'm a human being. But they didn't listen. The rules were older than anyone here. A younger woman in leather armor stepped forward. She was tall, muscular, and her eyes glowed red with fire. I claim him, she said loudly. The crowd gasped. Then another woman shouted, No, he belongs to the healers. No, to the scholars. No, the temple should have him first. Voices rose, hands pointed, arguments broke out. Some even reached for weapons. Ryan looked around in disbelief. This wasn't kindness. This was chaos. He wasn't a guest. He was a battle trophy. Suddenly, a deep voice cut through the noise. Enough! The tall woman in gold armor stepped forward. She raised one hand, and the crowd fell silent. Her name was Tazari, one of the planet's 5 queens. Her presence demanded respect. She walked straight to Ryan and placed her hand on his shoulder. I claim him under Queen's right, she said. He is mine now. Silence fell again. No one dared to argue. Under this law, her claim was absolute. Ryan looked up at her. What does that mean for me? You will live, she said, and you will serve. Her words were clear, cold. Back in her chambers, the queen offered him fruit and warm water. She spoke as if he were already hers. You do not understand. Our needs human, she said. We are born female. We die female. No males, no sons. Just history. And dreams. Ryan asked, How do you survive? Without men? We clone, she said. We grow. We use ancient science. But it weakens. With time, we are breaking slowly. You are hope, Ryan. A real male. The old way. The pure way. She looked at him with strange eyes. Not lust, not love. Need. And if I refuse? He asked. Her smile was thin. Then I must protect you from the others. Not because I care, but because if you remain unclaimed, they will tear you apart. That night, Ryan sat in his new golden prison. Food, water, comfort, but no freedom. He was safe, yes. But safety had a price. He now belonged to someone, and, even worse, and more women were coming. Some wanted to steal him, some wanted to free him, but most, they wanted to use him, and Ryan knew the real danger was only just beginning. Claimed by the warrior queen, the heavy doors shut behind him with a loud thud. Ryan stood still in the queen's private chamber, heart beating fast. The walls were made of glowing stone carved with stories of battles, history, and loneliness. Tazari, the warrior queen, stood by a large window, her golden armor reflecting the soft blue moonlight. She didn't turn to look at him. Not yet. You are mine now, she said calmly. Ryan's jaw clenched. I'm not a thing to be owned. She turned slowly, eyes locked on his. On this planet, you are more than a man. You are a symbol, a cure, a legend returned. I didn't ask to be that, he replied. No one asks to be what others worship, she said, walking toward him with slow, powerful steps. But you are the first male in 300 years. My people are watching. If I lose control over you, I lose control over them. She was not cruel, but she wasn't soft either. Tazari handed him a simple tunic made of fine silver cloth. Wear this. The public will see you tomorrow. They must know that you are claimed by the throne. Ryan didn't move, and if I refuse, she didn't threaten him. She didn't yell. Instead, she said something worse. If you walk out as an unclaimed male, the other queens will fight to possess you. You don't know what it means to be hunted by desire, not love, not kindness, but hunger. That night, the chamber felt more like a cage. Ryan lay on soft cushions, but his heart was heavy. Outside, guards stood at every corner. He wasn't a guest. He was a resource, a miracle in chains. Later, Tazari returned, but this time without her armor. She looked less like a queen and more like a woman, a tired one. She sat beside him, not close, just quiet. I was born in a world where love is taught through memory, not experience, she whispered. My grandmother told me what it felt like to be held by a man. I never believed it. Until now. Ryan turned to her. You don't want me. You want what I represent. Tazari didn't deny it. Maybe. But deep down, I'm still a woman who never knew choice. I've ruled armies, defeated rivals, but I've never had a chance to touch something real. She reached out, slowly, gently, and placed her hand on his. Not to claim him. Just to feel that he was there. Ryan didn't pull away, but he didn't move either. It was a strange moment, not passion, not fear, just quiet tension. The next morning, everything changed. Ryan was taken to the grand balcony above the village. Hundreds of women waited below, eyes shining in the sun. They saw him step forward, dressed in royal silver, marked with the queen's crest. Tazari raised her voice. This is Captain Ryan of Earth. He is under the protection of the throne. No one may claim him without my challenge. The crowd cheered, but one voice shouted from below. I challenge your claim, the crowd gasped. A tall woman stepped forward. Another queen. Her skin was dark blue, her armor blood red. She was younger, sharper, dangerous. Tazari's eyes narrowed. Queen Virea smiled. You don't deserve him. You keep him locked away. I will give him a choice. Ryan's heart dropped. He didn't even know this world's rules, but now he was the prize in a battle between queens. Back in the chamber, Tazari slammed her fist into the wall. The stone cracked. Her voice shook with quiet rage. She doesn't care about you. She only wants power. Ryan stepped forward. And what about you? She stared at him, then looked away. I'm beginning to forget. That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He knew what was coming. A battle. Not of love, not of justice, but of ownership. He was not a person here. He was a living treasure. And now, the queens would fight to own his Feisener, the secret underground rebellion. The palace walls were too quiet. Ryan sat near the window, watching the stars. Somewhere beyond those stars was Earth, his old life, his freedom. But here, on this strange planet, he was just a story now. A man with no power in a world desperate for him. Outside his door, the guards were doubled. Since Queen Virea's challenge, the tension between the rival factions had grown. Women from across the continent were arriving in the capital just to catch a glimpse of him. And Ryan knew this wasn't admiration. It was obsession. Suddenly, in the dead of night, he heard a whisper. "Captain Ryan." He turned sharply. A woman stood in the shadows of his chamber. Not a guard, not a royal. She was dressed in dark robes, her face hidden behind a soft veil. "Who are you?" he asked in a low voice. She stepped forward slowly and removed her veil. Her face was calm, her eyes warm. She wasn't like the others, there was no hunger in her gaze. Only warning. "My name is Hilary," she said. "I'm here to help you escape." Ryan's eyes widened. "Escape? How?" "They'll kill you if they find you here." She gave a sad smile. "They'll kill me anyway. I've already broken too many rules. But I won't let them break you too." Hilary explained everything. Long ago, when men vanished from their world, a secret group of women formed. Rebels who believed the cloning system, the claiming laws, and the obsession with control were all destroying their people from within. They called themselves the Rememberers. They believed men were not property, they were partners, they were part of balance. "We kept our history hidden in stone. Stories told only in silence," Hilary said. "But when you arrived, we knew the time had come. You're proof the universe still has men, and maybe real hope." Ryan felt overwhelmed. He had crashed here by accident, but now these people were building stories around him. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt trapped in a myth. "They'll never let me leave," he said. Hilary nodded. "Not yet, but there's a way out." Beneath the palace, she led him through a secret passage behind his chamber. Cold air rushed through as hidden doors opened. They moved quickly through narrow tunnels, ancient paths carved long ago by the builders of the first queens. Moss glowed on the walls. Distant sounds echoed like old ghosts. At the end of the tunnel was a wide chamber lit by blue fire. Inside were more women, 5, 10, maybe 15, all dressed like Hilary, all watching him carefully. One stepped forward. "He's real." Hilary nodded. "He's more than real. He's willing to listen." Ryan looked at the women. "You don't want to own me?" A middle-aged woman with silver markings on her cheeks spoke.
"No, we want to save you. And if you'll let us, maybe you can help save us too." Ryan's heart beat faster. These were the first people who didn't see him as a prize or a tool. They saw him as a person. But the danger was still real. Tazari
would search for him. Virea would hunt him. The entire planet would soon know he was missing. Time was short. Hilary handed him a strange object. It looked like a crystal heart pulsing with light. "This is your key out," she whispered. "An ancient beacon. It can call down an old escape pod hidden beyond the mountains. It only works once." Ryan held the crystal tight. "But you must choose," she said. "Run now, or stay and change everything." He looked around the chamber, at the faces full of hope, at the risk they had taken, at the truth he had just found. He could run, he could return to space, to safety, or he could fight for the one thing this world had forgotten. Choice. Ryan took a deep breath. "I'm not leaving," he said. Hilary smiled with both pride and fear. "You just declared war," she said quietly. And deep in the palace above, Queen Tazari woke with a cold feeling in her chest. Something had changed, and it was only the beginning. The hunt begins. The alarm bells rang before the sun rose. Echoes of metal clashing and horns blaring shook the palace. Queen Tazari burst from her chambers, her eyes wild, her breath sharp. Her guards were already kneeling before her. "He's gone," one said. Tazari didn't speak. She couldn't. She had placed her claim. She had offered him shelter. And still, he had vanished. News spread like fire. The only male on the planet had escaped. By midday, the city was in chaos. Flyers soared across the skies, broadcasting his image. His face appeared on walls, on glowing stone screens, even on marketplace fruit wrappers. Everyone wanted him. Every woman, every house, every queen. And now, there was no more waiting, no more laws. Now there was only the hunt. Across the capital, elite hunters were summoned. They were not soldiers. They were trained specifically for one thing: capture. Armed with binding cords and neural darts, they moved in shadows. Their orders were clear: bring the man back alive, no marks, no damage. Tazari stood in the war room, silent as the reports came in. Spotted near the lower caverns. False signal near the spice cliffs. Rebels suspected to be involved. She knew it already. The Rememberers had taken him. Virea, the red-armored queen, smiled when she heard the news. "A male who runs," she said, "is a male worth chasing." But Ryan was not running in fear. He was planning something much bigger. In the wild mountains beyond the city, he moved quickly through secret paths shown to him by Ilari. He was no soldier, but he had trained as a survivalist back on Earth. He knew how to hide, how to adapt, and most importantly, how to think differently. With every hour that passed, more rebel allies joined him in silence. Women who were tired of ancient rules. Women who believed in something new. Women who saw him as a voice, not a resource. Ilari met him at an old stone bridge hidden beneath a waterfall. "They're closing in," she said. "We need to move fast." Ryan held up the crystal beacon she had given him. "This thing, does it work anywhere?" She nodded. "If the sky is open, yes. But once it lights up, they'll know." "Good," he said. She looked at him, confused. "You want them to find us?" Ryan gave a small grin. "Not us, just me." The next morning, Ryan stood alone in a wide field just beyond the mountain ridge. He placed the crystal on the ground and stepped back. The sky above shimmered, and the beacon sent out a beam of soft blue light. It danced in the clouds, beautiful, quiet, and completely visible. Then he waited. He didn't have to wait long. The hunters came first, fast, silent, deadly. They surrounded him, weapons raised. Ryan lifted his hands. "I surrender." As they moved in, more figures appeared. Women in red and gold, warriors loyal to Virea. Behind them, Virea herself arrived on a massive creature that resembled a silver panther with wings. Her smile was sharp. "So brave," she said, "but so foolish." Ryan looked around calmly. "Did Tazari send you?" "No," Virea replied. "She's still too soft. I'm here to finish what she couldn't." She raised her hand to command the capture. But the moment she did, the trap was sprung. Explosions of light burst from the trees. Dozens of rebels emerged, blocking every exit. Ilari appeared beside Ryan, holding a new device, one that jammed all comms and weapons. Virea looked furious. "You dare ambush me?" Ilari's voice was calm. "You came to claim a man. We came to free a voice." Ryan stepped forward. "I'm not a prize, I'm not a cure, I'm a man. I crashed here by accident, but I've seen what you've done. You've built a system where one half owns the other. That's not survival, that's control." The women behind Virea shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their weapons. Some looked at him with new eyes. He pointed toward the beacon still glowing in the field. "I can leave this planet. Right now. But if I go, the truth leaves with me. Or I can stay. But only if I'm treated like a person, not a property." Ilari stepped beside him. "You choose," she said to the crowd. "The old way, or the human way." For the first time in generations, no one spoke, because no one knew what would happen next. Turning the tables, the battlefield had fallen silent. Ryan stood in the center, the beacon's glow casting soft light on his face. Around him, rebel women watched with hope, and hunter elite stood frozen, waiting for orders that no longer came. Queen Virea, once so powerful, now looked unsure. Her hand, once ready to command, now trembled. He had spoken the truth, and the truth was shaking the world. But Ryan wasn't finished. He turned, raised his voice again, louder this time. You've lived in fear of extinction. You've survived by control. But survival without choice isn't life. It's a prison. He held up the beacon crystal again. This light doesn't just call my escape pod. It calls something more powerful. Attention. Anyone in orbit. Any ship passing near. Your system will see this signal. Your secret is over. Your silence is broken. The women gasped. Even Virea's hunters exchanged glances. Ilari stepped forward, holding a small device. She pressed a button, and suddenly the old stone around them hummed with energy. A hidden console emerged from the ground, ancient tech from the pre-collapse days. This is the core, she said. It holds the truth of our past. Before the cloning. Before the laws. Before men vanished. Ryan approached it slowly. He placed his palm on the glowing pad. The console lit up and played an old recording. A man's voice. We are the first settlers of Althera, both male and female. We come in peace to build a world of balance. More voices followed, men and women, laughing, speaking, building. The rebels wept. The others froze. Their history had been erased. But now, it was playing out in the open. Queen. Virea looked furious. This is forbidden knowledge. No, Ilari said calmly. This is forgotten knowledge, buried by fear, twisted by power, but not anymore. Suddenly, a royal ship arrived overhead, but it wasn't Virea's. It was Queen Tazari. She landed without ceremony, stepping into the field alone. No armor, no crown, just the truth written on her face. Her eyes met Ryan's. You've caused an earthquake, she said softly. He didn't smile. It needed to happen. She nodded once. Tazari looked at Virea. Your challenge is over. Your claim is broken, Virea snarled. You're siding with him? I'm siding with truth, Tazari replied. And the truth is, and we were wrong. Then for the first time in 300 years, the queen stood down. That evening, Ryan walked through the city, not as a prisoner, not as a pet, not as property, but as a man with choice. Some women still stared at him, unsure. Others bowed, their heads ashamed of the system they had followed. He didn't hate them. He understood. Fear had shaped their laws. Loneliness had shaped their desire. But now the truth had set something new in motion. At the old palace gate, Ilari smiled. You flipped their entire world. Ryan looked at the sky. I didn't want to, but maybe it needed flipping. She reached out and took his hand. Will you leave now? He looked at the glowing beacon. He could call the pod. He could return to Earth. But Earth had never made him feel needed. Not like this. Not with purpose. I'm not sure, he whispered. Because now he wasn't just a visitor. He was part of something bigger. And this world, it might still need him. He's not property. He's power. The twin moons cast silver light across the quiet city. Ryan stood at the center of the ancient courtyard, where once he had been paraded like a trophy. But now, the circle was different. There were no ropes, no guards, no claiming stones, just people. Hundreds of women from every region of the planet had gathered not to claim him, but to hear him. Queen Tazari, once the most feared ruler, now stood beside him, not above him. Her armor was gone, replaced with simple cloth. Ilari, too, stood close, her eyes full of quiet strength. The beacon crystal, still pulsing in his hand, had done more than light up the sky. It had broken open their past. It had reminded them who they once were, and who they could still become. Ryan took a deep breath. He wasn't a speaker. He wasn't a king. But they were all waiting. And so he spoke. You wanted to own me because you were afraid. I understand. You lost the other half of yourselves long ago. But I'm here now, not to be used, not to be claimed, but to help. He looked across the crowd. You have knowledge, strength, beauty, but no freedom. Even among yourselves, choice has died. I saw it in your laws. I felt it in your palace. You've been surviving. But survival without change is just waiting to die. Murmurs moved through the crowd, some nodding, others holding back tears. Ryan lifted the beacon crystal one last time. This device can bring ships from orbit, scientists, explorers, males and females from across the galaxy. If you let me activate it fully, this world will no longer be hidden. You will no longer be alone. But it must be your choice, not mine. Queen Varea stepped forward from the shadows, her face unreadable. The old ways are gone, she said. But can we survive? The new ones? Ryan looked at her calmly. Not without trust. Then he placed the beacon gently on the ground and walked away from it. Everyone stared in silence. It was his final message. He would not control their future either. If they wanted a new path, they had to walk it themselves. That night, the beacon stayed on the stone untouched, but glowing. Not because someone had claimed it, but because someone had released it. Ryan didn't return to the palace. He stayed with Hilary and the Rememberers in the mountains, helping them rebuild the old tech, restart lost systems, and reteach history. Word spread across the planet. The man from the stars had chosen to stay, not because he had to, but because he believed in their future. One day, young girls would hear the story, not of a man who was owned, but of a man who changed a world. With no sword, no army, just his voice, his truth, and his choice. And for the first time in 3 centuries, a new holiday was created. Freedom Day. Not to celebrate the arrival of a man, but to remember the day women chose to be free too. Ryan smiled when he heard about it. He wasn't property anymore. He wasn't even just a man. On this world, he had become something else entirely. Power. But power with purpose. And this time it belonged to everyone.